common sense recap of the day's biggest stories. It's John Catsimatidis and Rita Cosby. Cats and Cosby on 77 WABC.
And joining us now here on Cats and Cosby with some big breaking news is John Solomon of Just the News. John, talk about some big stuff on the voter rolls.
Oh, what an extraordinary day. We Americans are very concerned about the integrity of their system, and they got two fresh blows today, starting just a few hours ago in Pennsylvania. Lancaster County, home of the Amish community in Pennsylvania, one of the most courted counties in that battleground state in the final weeks of the election. Prosecutors in Lancaster County announcing just a couple of hours ago that they busted a fraudulent voter registration scheme, a large-scale one that was operating at shopping malls and other locations, fake names, fake IDs, fake signatures being used to submit voter registrations and get people on the rolls who weren't either real people or using the identity of real people who didn't authorize doing it. This is a very serious matter. The prosecutor says they've now found it in two other counties in Pennsylvania as well. The State Department of Pennsylvania, which is the election agency for the state, says they're on top of this and watching it. They praise Lancaster County for quickly discovering this. 60% of the ballots that they found in a batch of 2,500 registration applications that were processed on money turned out to be fraudulent. 60% of those that were turned in on a single day turned out to be fraudulent, according to Heather Adams, the chief prosecutor in that county. Now, this sounds familiar. About a year ago, I was on your show telling you that Just the News had confirmed with Michigan State Police and Michigan authorities that they had found a similar fraudulent voter registration scheme in Muskegon, Michigan, back in 2020. They had dead red evidence that fake voter registrations were being submitted in large numbers in that battleground state of Michigan. The state police referred it to the FBI. Nothing ever happened after it went to the FBI. It went to the FBI and apparently died there. Now a brand new operation, almost identical in how it's being described to us today in Pennsylvania to what we uncovered in Michigan. These are the sort of things that get people uptight about the future integrity of our election. And if that isn't enough to scare you, an hour before Pennsylvania made its announcement, a federal judge in Virginia, another state that's suddenly become a battleground, Virginia suddenly in play for Republicans, a federal judge ordered Virginia to put 1,500 non-citizens, people who admit they have no right to vote, ordered them to put those non-citizens back on their voter rolls for the November election. Governor Glenn Youngkin just besides himself infuriated by this federal judge's order. Two things, a few hours apart in two key states that have people questioning.
John, it could be much worse than that. Speaker Mike Johnson met with some friends of mine, and he put out a tweet the other day on a new website that's available. How does the website go, Rita?
Yeah, we have to look it up again, but I remember, you're right, it's about all the different ones that are going on.
This is just a news story that Mike Johnson was reacting to. So
yes. And so far, almost 7,500 people have gone into the site and claimed their name has been used fraudulently.
And John, what was that website, too, to John's point?
Checkmydonation.com. Checkmydonation.com.
It could be checkmydonation.com or .org. Both
Either one will work, but make sure it's Check My Donation singular.
Yeah.
Yep, great.
So, I mean,
wow.
The American people deserve the honest truth. One American, one vote. No migrants because they're not allowed to vote. And the American people have to get confidence that their vote counts.
That's right. Yeah, it won't be canceled by some form of fraud.
You know, this story that you told us just about this Pennsylvania, describe exactly how it happened, because one of the things I was reading, and this is amazing, it looks like it's the same signature, right? Isn't that like,
oh, yes.
Yeah, explain why they think they are fraudulent, because it looks pretty blatant.
It is pretty blatant. They have, first off, they have fake names and fake IDs that have been submitted. So that's always a key. Anyone who ever tried to snuck in a bar with a fake ID knows what happens when you get caught doing that. So they were using fake IDs. Sometimes it was the exact same handwriting on 50 or 60 applications in a row, according to the prosecutors. In other cases, there was social security numbers and addresses that didn't match the person that they knew to live in the county. And they would go to that person and say, did you sign this ballot application? And they're like, nope, that's my name and that's my address, but I didn't sign it. I didn't authorize it. So The detectives have done very quick work since they discovered this batch of ballots just on money. Then 5 days, they've cracked this case. But fake names, fake IDs, fake signatures, in some cases the same handwriting on 30, 40, 50, 60 ballots at a time.
I'm telling you, millions of listeners that are listening to this, the fact is some people have to have mandatory jail sentences. Otherwise, some rich guy will pay the fine.
Yeah, you're exactly right. If there's no deterrent, this will continue.
Yeah, the other thing that's interesting, and you did a story on this in Just the News, most Americans get it, why it's important, right? Overwhelmingly, Americans are saying, we want ID. But it seems like the Democratic Party, clearly what we've seen of late, or at least the Biden DOJ and some of the judges, don't seem to want to enforce it. Your thoughts, John?
Yeah, listen, there's very few things in America that we agree at the 70 to 85% level, but there have been 6 polls in the last year about voter ID and keeping non-citizens off the voter rolls. It tests in that 70 to 85% range, so it's a rare moment of unanimity in a very divided nation, and yet despite that, you're seeing courts and liberals and Democrats in some cities even trying to push non-citizen voting. In the District of Columbia, just think about this, the Russian ambassador, if he lives in the city for just 30 days, can vote in the local elections now in Washington, D.C., because they've authorized non-citizen voting in our nation's capital. This is something that just infuriates people. If Republicans get control in 2025, which is what they're pushing for, they say they will get the law that they tried to pass this year but couldn't get through the Senate. They will get that done. It will be clear you can't be on a voter roll anywhere if you're a non-citizen.
Wow, that is amazing. John Solomon, thank you so much. That's a great example, what you just said about the Russian ambassador could technically vote, who's in D.C., and any Iranian official, too. That is just incredible. John Solomon.
It's crazy.
It is. Thank you, as always, John.
Thank
Have a great
much,
weekend.
John.
Good to be with you guys.